Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we are going to try and predict who is going to dethrone every single current active champion in the WWE today. And we're going to be looking at every championship belt, including all of the belts on the main roster, all of the belts on NXT. We have to look at a couple in TNA, and we even have to look at some of the action happening in AAA. I'll of course tell you who I think is going to dethrone that champion, and I'll try to give you my logic and the reasons as to why. And of course, in the comments section down below, your job is to agree or disagree, politely if you can. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if the daily wrestling content just simply isn't enough, consider coming over to the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZab, where you are going to get so much more extra content that we can never post here because it would just get blocked due to copyright since we use real footage over there. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Let's get started with the video. Let's start things off by talking about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship belts, a set of belts that right now feel incredibly important because of how often they're featured across both Raw and SmackDown, and the fact that the division, when you look at it, is full of some of the biggest names in all of women's professional wrestling. In the last video, the champions were Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, and they are still our champions as they were able to successfully defend the belts across the entirety of the month of October. And they've been busy across both SmackDown and now Monday Night Raw, a show that is just absolutely stacked with women's tag teams because you have the likes of Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. You have the possibility of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, the Kabuki Warriors. If you really wanted to, you could throw in Stephanie Vaquette and Nikki Bella into the equation. So there are plenty of options for different teams to dethrone these two over the next couple of weeks. In the last video, I suggested that it might be Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, and it might have been that. However, due to the recent injury to Rhea Ripley, both of these two have been off of TV for the last couple of weeks. I no longer think that they're going to be the next tag team champions, but I still think that they will eventually become tag team champions. I now think that the next tag team champions are going to be and should be the Kabuki Warriors. I think in the short term and in the long term, the Kabuki Warriors would actually benefit the most from winning the women's tag team championship belts from Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. This does a couple of things. One, it cements Asuka and Kairi Sane amongst the biggest heels in WWE in one of WWE's strongest divisions today, the Women's Tag Team Championship division. Additionally, this opens up the door for this right here, for Io Sky and Rhea Ripley to go after the tag titles, to go after the Kabuki Warriors again, to reignite their feud, this time for championship gold. And lastly, it opens up for the split of Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. As much as I've been enjoying them as a tag team, right now they are desperately needed in the singles ecosystem on Friday Night SmackDown, whether it's the US Championship division or the women's WWE Championship division. Both of those divisions would benefit greatly from the insertion of Charlotte Flair and or Alexa Bliss. So yeah, I'm locking it in. I'm going to say the next women's tag team champions will be the Kabuki Warriors. Next up, let's talk about the World Tag Team Championship belts. And for these, we have new champions. In the last video, the champions were the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, and it looked like they were going to continue to hold these things for a while, considering they were never featured on TV and never had an opportunity to lose the damn things in the first place. In the last video, I suggested Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, and my logic, I think, was very sound, but now that we've seen things play out, it sounds kind of silly to say out loud, because I thought that we were going to have these two win the World Tag Team Championships to be alongside Seth Rollins as the World Heavyweight Champion, so that the division holds gold across the board going into War Games. But what I wasn't expecting was for Seth Rollins to completely shatter his shoulder and be forced to vacate the World Heavyweight Championship, which then led to the storyline plot of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed kicking out Seth Rollins out of the division, which now has Braun Breaker in a direct path for the World Heavyweight Championship, which now makes it so that going after the World Tag Team titles makes absolutely no sense for them. I genuinely think this was the path and the best path forward, but it's no longer a path that we can go down because of unforeseen circumstances. Instead, WWE went in a different route by putting two guys that have absolutely nothing in common with each other, aside from the fact that when you put their names together, you get AJ Lee. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee are our new World Tag Team Champions, partly due to the involvement of Dominic Mysterio, who was basically the reason as to why the Judgment Day was finally forced to defend their Tag Team Championship belts. Here's the thing, this doesn't solve anything. Sure, we got a great match against the Judgment Day, and then we we got a great sequel match, which, by the way, is a reminder of how good this division can be, and it should make you angry that they put JD McDonough and Finn Balor on ice for as long as they did. But the problem of the division will always be a lack of division, because there's still no division to talk about whatsoever. Hopefully, with AJ Styles, who is a major star, future Hall of Famer, being in this division, it forces WWE's hand to actually give a damn for a second. The only other active tag team that gets consistent screen time that is a heel, that is on a wavelength strong enough to be able to dethrone a future Hall of Famer in the likes of AJ Styles and his partner Dragon Lee, is the New Day. And on top of that, aside from their little saga with Penta about the Mexican Destroyer, every single time they're on TV, they're talking about the tag team division. They're mourning the tag team division. It's time to stop mourning, and it's time to go after those tag team championship belts. I don't know when it'll be, and this is almost basically a choice out of necessity because there's no one else to pick right now. The WWE Tag Team Championship belts. At one point, these were the darling of professional wrestling, the most hot and active championship belts in WWE. Unfortunately, they've cooled down since. In the last video, the champions were the Wyatt Six. They were able to successfully defend the titles throughout October, as well as they defended against the Street Profits in what was a pretty solid match. In the last video, I suggested Fraxium. I still think it's a possibility that it could be Fraxium somewhere down the line, but I think WWE is going to go in a different route with guys that they just like more. We know WWE loves anything to do with the bloodline. MFT's been getting a tremendous amount of shine on WWE TV recently. They're the ones that have already called their shot against the Wyatt Six. I wouldn't be surprised that these are our new tag team champions. But hey, look, at least we don't have to talk about any more tag team titles anymore, all right? Just kidding. Here's the AAA Mixed Tag Team Championship belts that now we're forced to talk about. In the last video, the champions were Mr. Iguana and La Hiedra. They are no longer the Mixed Tag Team Champions of AAA because now they belong to two WWE superstars, one Ethan Page, and of course, the pride of Canada and all of North America, Chelsea Green. And now that two WWE superstars are holding these titles, as is tradition in these videos, I now have to talk about them until they lose them. I think that they are going to lose the Mixed Tag Team Championship belts back to Mr. Iguana, but not to La Hiedra, but to Lola Vice instead. Let me catch you up on what's going on in AAA. There is a love triangle basically going on with La Hiedra not liking Lola Vice. She thinks that she sucks, that she's bad, that she's a bad influence on Mr. Iguana, but Mr. Iguana has his eyes turned on Lola Vice, which honestly, who can blame him? They've got a whole Mexican soap opera telenovela Dios Mío thing going on there, so I wouldn't be surprised if these two won the tag team championship belts, which would then make La Hiedra jealous, which then sets up a feud between Lola Vice and La Hiedra. There you go. I booked it for you, AAA. Fellas, it is no secret that dropping a bad habit is difficult, but I promise you it doesn't have to be. And no, I'm not talking about some spooky Undertaker magic either. I'm talking about today's video sponsor, Fume, because they look at the problem in a completely different way. Instead of quitting cold turkey, why not just remove the bad from the habit? Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that replaces the bad parts with something natural and satisfying. It's not electronic, there's no vapor, no nicotine, no chemicals, just natural food-grade flavor. Instead of being a vape or an e-cig, Fume delivers flavored air that you can enjoy anywhere guilt-free. My go-to flavor is usually the crisp mint, but lately I've been really digging the orange vanilla because it's super tasty and refreshing. And it's not just about the flavor. The magnetic fidget design and adjustable airflow dial give your hands something to do, helping you stay relaxed and focused throughout the day. Over 700,000 people have already made the switch over to Fume as part of their habit-changing journey. So if you're ready to try it for yourself, now is the time. Because for a limited time, if you order the Journey Pack using my code MrSantizap, you're gonna get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. So go to tryfume.com/MrSantizap or just scan the QR code currently on the screen to get yours today. Thanks again to Fume for supporting the channel. Now let's get you back to the wrestling that you came for. Oh yeah, we have to talk about the Speed Championships. God damn it, these videos are getting too many belts now. In the last video, the champion was Sol Ruca. I suggested that maybe she would eventually lose the title to an up-and-coming Lainey Reed, that she would win the Speed title and use that as a way to get into Fatal Influence. They put her in Fatal Influence anyway, so that didn't end up panning out. But we have a new champion in the name of of Lady Vacant. Lady Vacant has struck as Sol Ruca has been forced to vacate her NXT speed title because it seems like it's now an NXT exclusive. So yeah, I'll go with Fallon Henley. There's a tournament going on, and to me, Fallon Henley is the best available option to win this thing. Zarya is in this tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised if she does win it, but I do think that there's a greater storyline of Zarya continually failing to win back this championship for Sol Ruca, which then leads to enough frustration where Zarya turns heel. So I'll say that Fallon Henley is our next speed champ. El Grande Americano is now back to being the canon speed champion. He's now actually like on NXT TV as well. In the last video, I said Dragon Lee because I literally had nobody else to pick. I am going to go with this fellow right here. And you may have noticed that there was a cut there between this guy right here and who this guy is, because it took me a second to remember his name. Jasper Troy, I think, is going to be the next speed champion. He already has a scheduled match against El Grande Americano. The reason I'm picking him is because I think they're planning on making the speed titles like an exclusive thing on NXT. So taking it off of a main roster AAA guy to put it on a guy that's actually going to be there every single week in NXT and could benefit from having short, quick matches for the title as well, like Jasper Troy, is probably what they're planning. So yeah, I'll go with this guy right here. Well, these things are just a nightmare to talk about. Let's talk about the NXT Tag Team Championships. Okay, all right, settle in because this is going to go at 100 miles an hour. In the last video, the champions were Dark State, all right? I suggested that maybe they might lose the championships to the Hardy Boys because the Hardy Boys had a scheduled match against the Dudley Boys to like really like determine who's the greatest tag team of all time and to really help with the matter. I think that giving them the NXT tag titles to go into that match would have made the Hardys look good. I ended up being correct, like literally like to a T with the explanation of that. The Hardy Boys won the NXT Tag Team Championships, and in 2025, we had the Hardy Boys as champions in the WWE. Well, they just immediately lost the titles right back to Dark State, putting us in quite literally just square one again. I am going to predict that it's going to be this tag team right here who are just so incredibly entertaining with their in-ring work. Leon Slater and Javon Evans are just stealing the show of every wrestling show that they're a part of, whether it's having matches with other people, with each other, in a tag team. I think that they're going to be putting the tag titles on these guys sometime soon. The NXT North American Championship. This thing also changed hands. In the last video, the champion was Sol Ruca. Now, unlike the Speed Championship, she wasn't forced to relinquish this. Instead, they did something that, in my opinion, makes no sense. Rather than stripping her of the title, Ava, the NXT manager, is like, hey, Zarya, you can defend it for Sol Ruca. That makes absolutely no sense, but okay, sure. In the last video, I said that Zarya would be our next NXT North American champion, and I was so close. I thought I was actually going to be right with this prediction. But I'm glad I was wrong because it ended up being Blake Monroe, and the world is so much better with Blake Monroe holding gold because gold is glamorous. Yeah, Blake Monroe is our new North American champion, defeating Zarya, who was representing Sol Ruca, to become our new North American championship. Listen, I think that Vacant got screwed in all of this. Vacant should have been our new North American champion there. I think it could still be Zarya that dethrones Blake Monroe, and it could be like Zarya winning it in a way where it's like for Sol Ruca, but then once she wins it, she refuses to give it back to Sol Ruca, and that starts their feud. I don't know, dude. I'm just going to go with Zarya. Hey, it's Future Santi, and I've had to come back and re-record this entire portion about the WWE Women's United States Championship. I pre-recorded this Friday afternoon, only to see on Friday evening, literally like 40 minutes ago, that everything that I said about this championship has gone completely out the window. So, let's do it again. In the last video, the champion was Julia, and I didn't think that she was losing this thing anytime soon, so much so that I actually predicted that it would be Lyra Valkyria, not anytime soon, but like at some point in 2026 when Lyra Valkyria goes over to Friday Night SmackDown and feuds with Julia and then eventually wins the US Championship. That's how far out I thought that Julia losing the championship was going to be, because the division that she's a part of and the champion of basically doesn't exist. It didn't go beyond Julia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this episode of Friday Night SmackDown, Julia had a scheduled US Championship match against Chelsea Green. I didn't think much of it. I didn't think that they were going to do a championship change. La-di freaking da. We have a brand new United States champion with Julia basically being buried in like a 4-minute match, getting rolled up by Chelsea Green. And I still don't really know how to feel about this. So let's discuss. Who's going to dethrone Chelsea Green? I don't know, because the same problem still persists. There's nobody in this division. Could it be maybe like BFAB or Michin again? I don't know. I'm going to predict that the only reason they gave Chelsea Green this championship win was so that she can run around with Ethan Page and be Chelsea 2 belts, essentially, is what I think they're doing here. And I do think it might eventually come back around to just Julia winning it back. All right, that's what I'm going to predict. Julia just wins this championship back. All right, now back to previous Santi. The Women's Intercontinental Championship. In the last video, the champion was Becky Lynch. She's still the champion. She's embroiled in a hot feud right now with Maxine Dupree, a feud that will eventually culminate in an Intercontinental Championship match for Maxine Dupree, but I don't think that Maxine Dupree is going to win. I still think that there are bigger, better plans at bigger shows for this championship and for Becky Lynch. In the last video, I said AJ Lee, and I'm tripling down on this. I still think it's going to be AJ Lee. I would not be surprised if it's like really far out. Like I'm talking like WrestleMania 42 type of far out. The North American Championship. Let's talk about this bad boy. In the last video, the champion was Ethan Page, and he's still our champion, and that's a good thing because Ethan Page is an absolutely fantastic rock star North American champion. Seriously, like one of my favorites in recent memory. He's just so damn good at this job of professional wrestling. In the last video, I suggested that it might be Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., which, by the way, it's still a ridiculous name. The son of Dr. Wagner Jr., wouldn't that just be Wagner the Third? Or the grandson of Dr. Wagner? Like, why are we complicating these names in Mexican Lucha Libre? What's going on over there? Yeah, I think it's going to be Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry and Ethan Page are currently embroiled in a feud, albeit the feud is for the Mixed Tag Team Championships, but I do think it will eventually splinter off and be for the North American Championship, and they're going to give the title to Joe Hendry. The United States Championship. Here's another belt that changed hands and no one saw it coming. In the last video, the champion was Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn as champion was arguably the best thing on Friday Night SmackDown week in and week out with his open challenge. Genuinely for like several weeks there, the Sami Zayn open challenge was like the only thing worth tuning in to Friday Night SmackDown for. And I know that's mean, but it's also true. In the last video, I suggested Obafemi might be moving up to the main roster after he had just lost the NXT championship and hadn't been seen on NXT for a couple of weeks. So I suggested, hey, I think it's time to call up Obafemi, and it might not be this month, it might be the next month, or it might be early in 2026. But Obafemi, whenever he gets called up to the main roster, he's going to be a problem for anybody and everybody. And if he got called up and his call up was answering the open challenge, I knew it was over for Sami Zayn. But nope, Obafemi has not been called up to the main roster. We have not seen Obafemi on any WWE platform in over a month at this point. Instead, it ended up being Ilya freaking Dragunov, if you can believe that. It's just an absolutely shocking, amazing return that everybody should be celebrating because it was an amazing match, but it's also WWE reminding the world that Ilya Dragunov freaking rocks, but it's also WWE giving their vote of confidence to a guy that we all know should be given the vote of confidence, the Mad Dragon Ilya Dragunov. This was amazing, and now he's doing the open challenge, which means that we're getting banger after banger after banger on Friday Night SmackDown with these open challenges under Ilya Dragunov as well. This might be optimistic, but I think eventually Ilya Dragunov will be dethroned by Carmelo Hayes. When I look at who has the best path to the United States Championship, it is Carmelo Hayes. He's embroiled in a feud with a future Hall of Famer in The Miz. I think he should be winning that feud, separating himself from The Miz, and finally being able to go after singles glory, something that The Miz has been preventing him from being able to do. So the story is there. Beat The Miz, finally go for championship gold, and beat Ilya Dragunov in the process. And not only does it make sense, but it would be awesome because if you missed out on NXT in the feud between Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes, let me just tell you that their matches absolutely rule. The Intercontinental Championship. It hasn't changed hands yet, but I think it might soon. In the last video, the champion was Dirty Dominic Mysterio, and he has just been on a roll in the month of October, defending the championship numerous times against Rusev and Penta, and then Rusev and Penta in one match as well. He has had such a great month with the Intercontinental Championship that I dare say that this 1 month as Intercontinental Champion has been better than the rest of his IC Championship run combined. In the last video, I actually suggested Rusev, kind of before Rusev and Dominic Mysterio even really started feuding, and I thought maybe I was going to end up being right. They did feud, they did have multiple matches for the Intercontinental Championship, but Dominic Mysterio was able to retain in both of those scenarios, and I don't think that Rusev is going to be it anymore. I'm going to go with John Cena. Is this coping? Oh my God, absolutely. 100% this is coping, but I still think that there's a chance, there's a possibility that somehow, some way between now and John Cena's retirement match, that John Cena takes this title off of Dominic Mysterio to become the Grand Slam. There are 2 major episodes of Monday Night Raw. Boston TD Gardens is a huge venue. Madison Square Garden is a huge venue. Both would be perfect places for an impromptu Intercontinental Championship match. We do also need to talk about the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. In the last video, the champion was Trick Williams. He held this thing forever, and I've been suggesting that he's going to lose this thing at Bound for Glory there for a few months, and I ended up being correct. I did suggest it was going to be Santana. Santana did win at Bound for Glory, exactly like how I called it, and now I don't have to talk about this because the WWE guy is not holding it. But I do have to talk about the TNA Knockouts Championship, which is their version of the Women's Championship, because the WWE name is holding it, and Kalani Jordan, she's currently feuding with Jordynne Grace, another WWE name, which I don't really fully understand that. I do think she is going to be losing this thing sometime soon, and I do think it's going to be to a TNA star. In the last video, I suggested that she might lose the championship to Indy Hartwell at Bound for Glory. That didn't end up happening. I still think it's going to be a TNA name that ultimately ends up taking this championship away from Kalani Jordan and bringing it back to TNA, and I think it's going to be Lei Ying Lee, formerly Xia Li in WWE, who is kind of like the front runner right now in TNA to go up against Kalani Jordan. The AAA Mega Campeonato. Let's talk about this sucker. The current champion is Dominic Mysterio. That hasn't changed, and honestly, my opinion on this hasn't changed either. I still think it's going to be El Grande Americano. I still think it's weird that El Grande Americano continues to help Dominic Mysterio and hasn't gotten anything in return. I do think that there is going to be a snake in the grass moment where El Grande Americano gets a championship match and does it in a way that is nefarious, that maybe even somehow turns Dominic Mysterio into the babyface of this situation. Although maybe El Grande Americano will be the babyface because he's so beloved in Mexico at the moment. It's like insane how over he is. The NXT Women's Championship. I didn't think this thing was going to change in October, but oh my God, it did. In the last video, JC Jane was the Women's NXT Champion, and I thought that she was going to be safe until like New Year's Evil at the very minimum. That didn't end up happening. In the last video, I suggested that it was going to be Blake Monroe. What I suggested was Blake Monroe winning the Iron Survivor and then taking that championship opportunity to New Year's Evil, and then there she wins the NXT Women's Championship. That is not how things went, because we had the biggest curveball, actually second biggest curveball, because JC Jane originally winning the NXT Women's Championship was the original biggest curveball, but there's a pretty big curveball too. Tatum Paxley winning the NXT Women's Championship at a Halloween Havoc is not anything at all that was close to being on my bingo card in this year. But yeah, Tatum Paxley is the women's champion. I don't know that it's going to be a long reign. They are already setting her up to be a champion that's maybe a little bit too naive and puts herself into situations to lose the championship. And I do think that that's going to ultimately bite her in the ass. I do think that the current story that they have laid out kind of makes Izzy Dame the best available choice. Izzy Dame has been impressing the hell out of me. Like genuinely, I think that she has such a bright future in the WWE. Bright enough where I think WWE sees it as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's the one, through betrayal and heartbreak, takes the title away from Tatum Paxley. The Women's World Championship. I haven't really budged too much on this one, but let's talk about it quickly. In the last video, the champion was La Primera, Stephanie Vaquer. That has not changed. She might be defending the championship here sometime soon with Nikki Bella. We know that she's got a current feud going on with the girls from the Judgment Day, but I don't think think either Nikki Bella nor the girls from the Judgment Day are a threat to Stephanie Vaquette. I do think that Stephanie Vaquette is going to be holding through to the end of the year and into early 2026 as well. And it needs to be into early 2026 because I'm going to double down on this. I do think it's still going to be a returning Liv Morgan. I wouldn't be surprised if she wins it in early 2026, or maybe returns at the Rumble, wins the Rumble, goes on to face Stephanie Vaquette for the World Championship. But I'm sticking with this. I'm going to stick with Liv Morgan. The WWE Women's Championship. Holy man, we had a lot of new champions this month. In the last video, the champion was Tiffany Stratton. And of course, she continues to be in this forever feud with Jade Cargill, with Nia Jax, that just seemed to never end. In the last video, I suggested, yeah, there's like nobody else that could be Tiffany Stratton. It's probably still going to be Jade Cargill. In fact, I said that after Jade Cargill busted her face open and her eyebrow was like split open and she was bleeding all over the place, that might end up being like a catalyst for her to have like a big monstrous heel run. And like literally like clockwork, it's what they ended up doing. She ends up coming back, turning heel, being a monster, and squashing Tiffany Stratton to become the new WWE Women's Champion. And now we got a problem. All right, it looks like Tiffany Stratton might be taking time off to nurse whatever knee injury is going on, and that leaves literally nobody for Jade Cargill to face. There's nobody unless you move people over from Monday Night Raw or you have some return from injury. That's literally the only way that we can find some names for Jade Cargill. I think literally the only person, like the only one that makes sense, is a returning Bianca Belair. And it seems like there's been a lot of problems with her return with this injury. Finger injuries are notoriously annoying to be able to come back from, and that's what Bianca Belair was dealing with. Hopefully she's back soon. Hopefully she's back as early as this road to Survivor Series War Games, because other than that, like if it's not Bianca Belair, they're just gonna throw people into the wood chipper that is Jade Cargill, and none of those storylines or feuds are gonna be interesting. Like the only one that's there that makes sense, that's gonna be interesting, is Bianca. Next, let's talk about the NXT Championship. In the last video, the champion was Ricky Saints, who dethroned Obafemi in the previous month. He was embroiled in a feud and still is embroiled in a feud as of the making of this video with Trick Williams. I don't think that this is going to result in Trick Williams winning the NXT Championship. That doesn't really make any sense, considering I think that Trick is just around the corner from being called up to the main roster. I wouldn't be surprised if Trick Williams gets announced to be part of the John Cena Retirement Tour tournament. So I don't think that Ricky Saints is in any danger for several months to lose this championship. In fact, I think it's going to be like stand and deliver, and I'm going to keep saying the same name that I've been saying for a long time, Javon Evans. So I'm not changing it. Javon. The World Heavyweight Championship. This also changed hands. In the last video, the champion was Seth Rollins, and he was healthy, and he was looking like he was cooking on all cylinders, and he was looking like he was going to be our World Heavyweight Champion probably right through to WrestleMania 42. In the last video, I suggested that eventually CM Punk would win back the World Heavyweight Championship. It made sense from a narrative perspective, but I was genuinely talking about like months down the line, nowhere near like happening in 2025 at all. And then boom, in comes vacant, the greatest world champion of all time, to cash in his vacant in the bank and become the new world heavyweight champion. Seth Rollins got injured. His shoulder got busted during the match against Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel, which forced Seth Rollins to vacate the championship. In storyline, they also used the attack from the Vision to sell us on the injury being as bad as it is, but ultimately the championship did get vacated, and it was put up for grabs at Saturday night's main event in a match between CM Punk and Jey Uso. And good God, let the world rejoice that it was CM Punk and not Jey Uso. CM Punk is our new world heavyweight champion. So who is eventually going to dethrone CM Punk? That's the big question. And I say the big question because, like, are we talking about a short-term reign where Braun Breaker just wins the championship right back after Survivor Series War Games? He's on a warpath right now to become the World Heavyweight Champion, and I don't think that much is going to be stopping him, considering they pulled the trigger on him kicking out Seth frickin' Rollins of all people. Or is CM Punk actually going to hold this thing right through to WrestleMania? I don't see it, unfortunately. So I'm just going to pick Braun Breaker. I think it's inevitable. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. The question is when. Is it something further down the line, or is it going to be something here in the short term? And then there's the WWE Championship. This also hasn't moved, all right? The last video, the champion was Cody Rhodes. He's still the champion, was able to successfully defend against Drew McIntyre at Saturday night's main event. In the last video, I suggested Cody's just going to hold this thing right through to WrestleMania and maybe eventually lose it to Randy Orton. That's still, honestly, honestly like what I'm thinking. I probably shouldn't be changing my mind, but damn it, I have injected myself with copium. Drew frickin' McIntyre. It has to be Drew McIntyre at some point. Maybe it's at the upcoming Survivor Series War Games, but he has the justification to get another match. There's still one more opportunity for Drew McIntyre to become our next WWE champion, and he absolutely should. And I'm going to make the pick just in case it does happen so that I can celebrate it as the correct decision. But I still think it's gonna be Randy Orton, but I'm picking Drew McIntyre. That's it, folks. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Again, huge shout out to Fume for sponsoring us today. Make sure to go check them out. But that's it. I am done. Get out of here.